Okay, so our next assignment is to create a believable cloud creature. It's assignment 3. So we're going to take the fantasy creature we designed and make it as a cloud. To do this, either in Photoshop or Photop, just to reformat this quickly, we need to open a new file. So we go to File, New, and this is the first time we've kind of done this instead of altering something that we've brought in. And we're going to create using inches. We can actually put our name in here. So I'm going to, and in inches we want 10 inches by, let's do 11 by 14. So 11 inches tall, because my creature is wider than it is tall, by 14 inches wide. That's a good art standard, 11 by 14 inches. And because I'm on Photop, I'm going to do 72 DPI. If I was on Photoshop, I would do 350. And I'll just keep a white background. So then say create. Now I'm going to bring in my creature, my PNG creature from assignment 2. I just drag and drop it in. And remember, my creature was made to be 10 inches by 10 inches by 72 pixels per inch. So it's already the right size. Okay, now I want to find some clouds. So I'm going to go to Google. I'm already looking for large, so I'm just going to look up cloud. But I'm looking for just a big, puffy cloud. I can use Pixabay for this as well. In fact, I prefer to use Pixabay, so let me do that. Because with Pixabay, then I know that they will be large enough, even if for print resolution. So I want cloud photos. That's pretty good. This is excellent. Notice that clouds really vary based on how they're lit. If they're lit from behind, if they're lit from above, if it's stormy. So I'm just looking for the most generic. There's that heart example. Creative Commons open. So I will use this one. I'll say free download and I'll get the biggest size. It goes to my downloads folder, go back to Photop. And this is all I want to show you with this first video, just in setting it up. It's a different way of using composited material. Click on that cloud for my downloads, drag it in. It's big. And so I can stretch the cloud like it's dough, and I'm rolling it out. And I want to stretch it so that it covers my whole creature. Like that. Okay, so now I have 2 smart layers. They're taking up a lot of memory. One of my creature, one of my clouds. I'm going to go to my creature layer, and I'm going to use my magic wand. I'm going to have continuous unchecked, 0 feather, or maybe 2 feather, and click the empty space around my creature. Then I'm going to, just so you can see it, I'm going to turn my creature eyeball off that layer. So I have the selection of all the space around my creature. But you can also see that the edge is also selected. So this means it's the empty space around my creature. Now I want to say select inverse. So now I don't have it selected around my creature anymore. Now it's just the shape of my creature. It's the same way we made an overlay mask for our creature in the last assignment. Okay, next I'm going to turn on the cloud layer and select it, and you'll see my selection moves with me. And then I'm just going to hit Command J, Control J if you're on a PC. And what that does is it makes your selection into a cookie cutter, and it cuts out cloud. Then all that's left is to build a layer on top of your background and to fill it with gray. And then we'll change this. We'll learn how to paint a sky the next time. So that's how you can set up your creature, as just a cutout of clouds. And then on this, we're going to collect different clouds, bring them on, and then composite them together to make our creature. Then for our creature layer, move it to the top. I'm going to hit Control T and shrink it down into the corner so I can reference it.
Wait, could you go to the making the cutout of the clouds one more time?
I will, but I want to dismiss everyone because that's the end of our class today. But yeah, I'll hang out in this chat until 1 o'clock. And I'll show that again, and then that will be in the video. But those were the steps. Okay, so I'm going to turn all of these off and then show them again. So thank you, guys. Make sure you get something submitted for assignment 3 by midnight into Canvas. And I will see you on Monday, and we'll finish up this assignment 4 then. Okay. So this assignment started with creating a new file, giving it a name, and I always recommend you put your name and then a description. So I'll say Karl FA20 for fall 2020, Karl assignment 4, and I'll call it version 2. And I'll just use a different cloud this time. And then for the inches, I want it to be 11 by 14 inches. You get to decide whether it's 14 inches tall or 14 inches wide. Because my creature is wider than it is tall, I'm going to make it 14 inches wide. Because I'm using Photo P, I'm going to do it at screen resolution, so that's 72. It says dots per inch here, but what it really means is pixels per inch. I'm just going to leave a white background. And then say create. Now I'm going to bring in my PNG, the same thing I submitted for my finished assignment 2. So it's all the more reason to finish up assignment 2. Drag it in. Keep it nice and large. Hit return to place it. It's still a smart object. Then I go to Pixabay in this case and find a really big cloud reference. This is just as your base layer. So I want it really large. Just lots of cloud. I download it. I bring that download, drag it onto Pixabay or onto Photopea, and then stretch it out. Clouds are malleable. You can stretch them like the wind does. You can rotate them as long as it doesn't change the lighting in a way that's not believable. So I'm stretching it out so it covers my creature. Then I hit return. So yeah, that covers my creature. Now I turn that layer off. I go back to my creature layer and I use the magic wand tool, which is underneath the lasso. And it's the last one in the drawer. And for the settings, I turn off contiguous just in case I have little, what are called undercuts. I have little areas that are self-contained of empty space. I want to make sure I get all the empty space. I have a tolerance of 29, but if I'm selecting empty pixels, that tolerance doesn't really matter because there's either nothing there or something there, and I want to select where there's nothing there. And I'm going to do a feather of 2 pixels just to soften it a little bit because it is a cloud after all. So then I click on the empty space around my creature, and then I can turn the eyeball off my creature, and you see that the selection is not mapped to the layers.
Wait, you didn't... Oh, yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, selection is completely separate.
You go to your cutout, then you turn off your creature, and then you have this little cutout thing.
Yeah, I still have the selection. So
And
now I
you go back
can
to
move
layer, right?
to the cloud layer and turn it on. And if I hit Command J now, it would select all of the space. I'll show you. It will select all of the space around my creature because that's the empty space, right? So before I do that, I want to take that selection and I want to invert it. So instead of selecting the space around my layer, it's selecting all the space inside my creature. I say layer, but I meant creature. So
But
instead of
my cutout overlaps an area where the clouds end and the blue sky begins. So can I rasterize my cloud layer to
well,
resize it?
yeah, and we can cover that up later. It's just the skill. I have a little bit of blue sky that I'll have to cover up in the tail here. But so now I go to select and I say inverse, and that will swap it. So now it's selecting the space inside my creature, but I'm on the cloud layer. So now I hit Command J to duplicate just the selection and turn off the cloud layer, and I get like a cookie cutter of my creature made out of cloud.
How do I get rid of the blue? Because like on one part of my creature, the clouds end and it's just blue sky.
I get it. I have that same problem in my tail here.
Fix it later.
So that's why you stretch out the cloud beforehand, or we're just gonna, cover that with more cloud, or erase away from it. This is just our base layer. Okay, then I take my creature and I shrink it down into the corner. And now we're just going to put in a sky. So behind my creature, I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to say edit fill. And I'm going to fill it with gray, just so you can see a gray sky. But then because it's recording anyway, I'll go ahead and move on to the next step.
Where you put the fill there?
Behind your creature, so right on top of the background. So that it shows up behind your creature and behind your cloud.
So you go layer, new layer. And you click that layer, you go image.
You say edit fill, and then you fill with gray.
Then I have a gray back. Oh, and you put that at the bottom, right? The
Yep.
furthest back. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what do you do?
Okay, so now, but we don't want a gray background. We want maybe a blue sky, right? So I'm going to make a new layer on top of that gray layer. And then this is a new tool we'll use. It's underneath your eraser. It's called the gradient tool. Now, if you just use the gradient tool at its default settings that you'll see at the top, it's a linear gradient between white and black. And the blend mode is normal, and its opacity is 100%. So we want to use all of that, and then just click and drag a direction that we want it to gradate.
What's the point of that?
So when you look at sky, you'll notice that sky is always gradated. It's not one flat blue. It goes from a darker blue to a lighter blue. Or in this case, like a pink or a yellow.
We talking about the sky or the clouds?
I'm talking about the sky, because this is painting the sky behind our clouds.
Oh, okay. So it depends on what your light source is.
Yep.
So it's the gradient usually moves from the light source, and as you get further away, it gets darker.
Yeah, so you get to pick your direction of light and your intensity of light for your sky.
But this is only showing up behind the clouds. It's not showing up.
It is. First, we're painting the sky. And it can always be changed later, but it's to show you how we're going to do that. And these are the first pixels that we're really creating for ourselves. So that's how you do it. And I like this. for my gradient, but I want it to have color. I don't want it to just be gray.